Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry Saravia of the Movies. So originally I was going to discuss the inane decision to remake Splash, thanks to Disney, that decided it was a good idea to remake this movie that came out back in 1984, starring Daryl Hannah, Tom Hanks, and John Candy, directed by Ron Howard. A movie that really I see no desire to remake at all, but apparently they've decided to cast Channing Tatum in a role reversal as the Merman, so that Daryl Hannah's role is now being played by a man playing a merman, if that makes any sense. And although I was originally going to discuss this inane decision, and it is kind of inane, because I've not really gone out of my way to see the new Ghostbusters as an example of role reversal type comedies. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with doing that, but the fact is that where is the originality? See, because somebody thought up Splash as a movie and it became such a thing. It's a high concept, a mermaid in love with a man. But look what they did with it. They added chemistry between the two stars. They cast the right people, a little comic relief from John Candy and Tom Hanks, not to mention also Daryl Hannah. And so, and it's a very romantic type film. And that's that. There is no need to redo it. Of course, there has been a sequel to Splash, made for TV, back in the 90s. But then I saw that there have been other role reversal type remakes in the pipeline, as it were. Ghostbusters being, of course, the latest. And now take a look at these. Well, we've got now, first of all, for Splash, Jillian Bell will take over the role of the love interest. So the Tom Hanks role, played now by Jillian Bell. Apparently Ron Howard and Imagine Entertainment partner Brian Grazer, both who were involved with the original Splash, will produce this remake for Disney. So then another one is Ocean's 11, which is now going to be currently titled Ocean's Ocho, directed by Gary Ross, a director who's known for handling original material on film. The Hunger Games, to some degree. I mean, obviously it's based on some form or fashion, a young adult novel based on The Most Dangerous Game mixed with all sorts of Orwellian themes, but at least it was self-contained, it's its own thing. And he also did Pleasantville, amongst other films. But anyway, Ocean's Ocho. So far, Cate Blanchett, Sandra Bullock, Anne Hathaway, Mindy Kaling, Helena Bonham Carter, along with Rihanna, are going to be cast in this. Now, Ocean's 11, which came out in 2001, I believe, with Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and so on, that was itself a remake of a movie from 1960, also called Ocean's 11, with Frank Sinatra and the whole Rat Pack. So much for originality. Now, another one is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. So apparently this movie, which itself was already a remake of a movie called Bedtime Story with Marlon Brando and David Niven. This one, the 1988 version, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, had Steve Martin and Michael Caine as two con men. So now Rebel Wilson will star as one of the two female con artists who team up to bamboozle a tech prodigy out of his earned fortune. Let's see, I don't know if there was another one that caught my attention. Oh, The Rocketeer. The Rocketeer. Disney's developing a new take on the 1991 movie, which, by the way, was a box office disappointment at that time. Didn't do nearly as well as anyone had hoped. It came out in the summertime, so on. Anyway, a black female is going to take over the role. And this movie will take place 6 years after the events of the original film, when a young female pilot takes up the mantle after the original Rocketeer vanishes while fighting the Nazis. She goes head-to-head against a corrupt rocket scientist that is trying to turn the tides of the Cold War. It is unclear which actress will don the jetpack for the part. Now, this is the new thing. Gender reversal remakes. As if remaking a movie was not enough, the fact that they even remade some mediocre movies, Point Break, Endless Love. Okay. But now we're doing a gender reversal, as if this was a whole new concept. Now, I'm not against this, technically, but there are just some movies that should be left alone. The Rocketeer, no. Because it was a box office disappointment at the time, and I don't know how many people are clamoring to see a new movie about a Rocketeer now played by a female. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just the idea of a new Rocketeer. I don't know if an audience is there for this. Ocean's 8, again, who is asking for this? Not that you can't have a whole female cast doing their thing. That's fine. But why are we remaking movies that were just fine the first time around? The gender reversal doesn't make it seem more original than it was, you see. So if you have Batman suddenly played by a woman, or Superman suddenly played by a woman, that makes no sense, because there's already Supergirl, there's already Batgirl. How can you keep doing this over and over and over and over again? And with certain movies that, again, have already been remade. You know, like I said, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was already a remake of a movie called Bedtime Story. Ocean's 11 and its sequels, and that itself, the original, being based on a 1960 film. I don't know how many times you can keep doing this. It's getting insane. So this is a new thing. Gender reversal remakes. Who is asking for these? Why are we doing these? I'm all for women playing the parts that normally are dominated by men. That's very true, especially in Hollywood. But the fact is that, you know, when you think back to Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley, first the Alien movie, the first one, where she dominates, I believe, really just the very end of it, because it's mostly all these men that are in this ship, including her. But she is the centerpiece of Aliens, the sequel that came out in 1986. And so my point is that that's already 30 years ago. Women were already at the forefront of taking certain kinds of roles. Julia Roberts, you know, then of course later on Angelina Jolie, Winona Ryder, etc. So what's happened? Well, now you're switching things around, and the whole Splash thing is very weird. So I say, please, there is original material out there. There are parts that can be played by women. I am all for it. Stop doing a role reversal thing. It's just, it's an excuse to justify a remake. That's all that is. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.